Mrs. Puff is not who she appears to be. Most people think she's just SpongeBob's boating teacher, but she has a dark past she's been running from for years. Someone from her past seems to be manipulating her life and mentally torturing her. Once I started looking through her episodes, I found more strange hints about her than any other character in the show. Mrs. Puff teaches boating school in Bikini Bottom and has passed every student except SpongeBob, who has failed hundreds of times and always causes destruction. Even though none of it is her fault, she constantly ends up going to jail. We also learn she was once married, but her husband was taken by fishermen. Every now and then, the show drops clues that she has a mysterious past. One of the clearest hints comes from the episode where she gives up and decides to hand SpongeBob a license, even though he failed. When she realizes the chaos he'll cause, she panics because everyone will know she let him slide through school. Then she says she'll have to move to a new city, start a new boating school, and change her name again. This tells us she used to teach in a different town. She had a different boating school, and even the name Mrs. Puff is fake. Something bad happened that forced her to flee. It seems like at her old boating school, she gave a license to another terrible student who caused a disaster, forcing her to run away and restart her life. In another episode, when she opens her new boating school, she promises to never give up on a student again. That fits perfectly with the idea that she once gave up too early, and it ended horribly. Much later, we see inside her lighthouse full of hoarded junk. Among the clutter is a file labeled Mrs. Puff, which makes no sense unless she is keeping her fake identity documents. She knows how to forge licenses, so she must have made a full new identity for herself. But the biggest clue appears for only a moment. An article titled, "Arranged Boat Teacher Makes Getaway," showing she fled New Kelp City by distracting police with balloon animals. It explains why she remembered how to make them. She used them to escape crime scenes. The picture in the article matches the future image in an earlier episode, which means she wasn't imagining a possible future. She was remembering her past. Even the reporter looks the same as the one from New Kelp City, just younger and with hair. She's been reliving her old trauma ever since. Mrs. Puff becomes more mentally unstable over the show. At first, she cared about SpongeBob, but eventually she tries to kill him just to escape teaching him. Even seeing him gives her panic attacks. Some episodes show her completely losing her grip on reality. In one, she hallucinates SpongeBob appearing everywhere until everything around her becomes his face. The ending loops back to the beginning, and she realizes she did her time already while still wearing her prison uniform. That suggests the entire episode happens in her head. Teaching SpongeBob is like being in prison, so her mind imagines a jail cell around her. This isn't the only time we see her delusions. At a party, she sits alone talking to an ice sculpture of SpongeBob. In her house, she has a strange infinite picture of herself inside pictures of herself, symbolizing the endless loop of dealing with SpongeBob's failures. Multiple episodes show these looping images, suggesting she's trapped in her own mind. There is even an episode where SpongeBob gets his license from another teacher, and right before that happens, Mrs. Puff wakes up at night panicking. The timeline doesn't match unless that entire episode took place inside her mind. She cannot escape thinking about SpongeBob passing or failing. Her hoarding is another sign of her mental problems. The lighthouse is full of belongings, stolen from everyone in Bikini Bottom. SpongeBob's diary, Squidward's paintings, Mr. Krabs's belongings, and many other random items. She even stole Squidward's snail. This means Mrs. Puff is a kleptomaniac. She steals not because she needs anything, but because it gives her a rush and helps her cope with stress. She even mentions remembering how to do this when stealing a boat, hinting that she used to commit crimes long before we met her. A comic confirms she used to rob banks. If her life is so miserable because of SpongeBob, why doesn't she expel him? The show reveals why. she is being forced to teach him. In one episode, the prison warden offers to let her out early if she gives free driving lessons. In another, she's warned that if she refuses to teach SpongeBob, she will violate her parole. It seems like the prison specifically wants her to teach SpongeBob and suffer through it. In time, the warden ensures SpongeBob even shows up in prison boating school to torment her further. It becomes clear the prison is intentionally making her life hell. She is forced into situations where she must endure SpongeBob no matter what. Someone powerful is controlling her fate. The person behind it all seems to be the warden himself. The warden appears in New Kelp City in a newspaper photo from her past. That means he lived there and probably knows who she really is. But instead of turning her in for living under a false identity, he stays silent. If her secret came out, she would get more prison time, which seems like something he'd want. So why doesn't he expose her? Because it doesn't serve his real goal. I believe her previous mistake, giving a license to a dangerous student, led to a tragedy that affected the warden personally. Maybe the student hurt someone the warden loved. To get revenge, he moved to Bikini Bottom, became the warden, and when he discovered Mrs. Puff living under an alias, he realized he could torture her endlessly. But she likes being in prison because SpongeBob can't follow her there, so instead he turned her outside life into a prison. He makes sure she cannot leave town by giving her an ankle bracelet. He forces her into constant contact with SpongeBob and stops everyone who might get close to her, including Mr. Krabs and Dorsal Dan. The warden even poses as a lawyer in another episode, using the name Richard A. Bottom Feeder. He offers to help Mr. Krabs for free, but deliberately sabotages the case so that SpongeBob, the worst possible lawyer, has to represent him. He removes any chance Mrs. Puff has at happiness by destroying her relationship with Krabs. He clearly hates her deeply. But what exactly did her old student do? It must have been something devastating, like causing the death of someone related to the warden. In her home, we see a picture of an unknown fish who resembles the warden. Same coloring, same bow tie style, same fancy look. Maybe it was his father, brother, or son. She keeps the picture as a reminder to never make the same mistake again. Mrs. Puff lost her business, identity, and sanity because of that one mistake. She lives a miserable, delusional life and can never be happy. But there's one more twist. Her husband is still alive. In the SpongeBob movie, all the dried-up fish in Shell City come back to life when water pours on them. One of the revived fish is a pufferfish that looks exactly like Mr. Puff. He escaped, but he can't find her because she changed her identity and moved. She also cannot leave Bikini Bottom due to her parole, so she can never reunite with him. The warden is likely aware of this and is making sure they never see each other again. Mrs. Puff's life is tragic. Her happiness is just one city away, but she is trapped and constantly punished for a mistake she made years ago. The warden, Richard A. Bottom Feeder, has made sure she will never escape her suffering. The people who live in Bikini Bottom might be the result of evolution, and today I'm going to answer the biggest questions in SpongeBob. Where the talking fish came from, who Pearl's mom is, and what the Krabby Patty secret formula really is. Get ready, because this theory gets very dark. Many people believe the citizens of Bikini Bottom can talk because of nuclear testing at a real place called Bikini Atoll. The United States tested nuclear bombs there from 1946 to 1958, and the idea is that the radiation mutated sea life into intelligent creatures. But most versions of this theory don't go into much detail, so I decided to look deeper. After watching everything, I realized there's a lot more here than anyone thinks. First, we need to know whether talking fish are unique to Bikini Bottom or if it's normal for the whole SpongeBob world. In the episode Feral Friends, a green moon appears and turns everyone into realistic, primitive versions of themselves that can't talk. The narrator says that every 100 years this happens and turns everyone in Bikini Bottom back into primal fish. This implies that the Bikini Bottom citizens evolved from primitive creatures. But does evolution affect all sea life or only Bikini Bottom? A DVD bonus clip shows human scientists studying the fish of Bikini Bottom because of their advanced intelligence, which suggests this evolution is unique. Then in SpongeBob's big birthday blowout, SpongeBob and Patrick visit the surface and see realistic fish in tanks that can't talk and move like normal fish. This proves that both evolved and primitive fish exist in the world at the same time. We see this again in Sponge on the Run. That seems to confirm that Bikini Bottom's residents are special. But then we run into a problem. In prehistoric episodes like SB-129 and Ugh, we see ancient versions of SpongeBob and Patrick who are still more evolved than the primitive fish in Feral Friends. That means evolution started long before the Bikini Atoll tests. So the nuclear theory can't be true. So what caused the evolution? The only thing in the show that directly alters evolution is the green moon, which the narrator calls Neptune's moon, named after King Neptune. Neptune appears many times, has existed since ancient times, and has the power to transform fish. So it makes sense that he is responsible for evolving certain sea creatures into more advanced beings. This means evolved fish live alongside primitive ones. Like humans spreading across the planet, evolved sea creatures have spread across the ocean. But that raises a question. What is their relationship with the primitive fish? In the Krusty Krab training video, we hear that Mr. Krabs fought in a war. The show never explains what the war was, but with everything we know, it could have been a war between the evolved sea creatures and the wild, gigantic primal fish we saw in Feral Friends. Those creatures were huge and aggressive, and the evolved citizens probably had to fight to survive. There's evidence for this. We know Krabs served in the Navy and traveled beyond Bikini Bottom, where the primitive creatures would be. In his house, he has a picture of a massive whale fighting a ship. We've seen normal whales in the show, and they are not nearly this big. But in Feral Friends, when Pearl de-evolves, she becomes enormous, just like the whale in the picture. This suggests that the whale in the photograph was a primitive whale. And if that whale was fighting the ship, then Mr. Krabs must have been part of that fight. This leads to a dark conclusion. Mr. Krabs killed Pearl's mother. The show only ever references Pearl's mom when Krabs shouts, "Mother of Pearl," which he uses in moments of shock or guilt, as if he's reminded of what he did. If she died in that war and Krabs found Pearl as an evolved baby whale, he may have adopted her out of guilt. If that weren't dark enough, it gets worse. Why are some sea creatures treated like pets? Because evolved fish domesticated smaller primitive creatures, just like humans domesticate animals. But that raises another question. Where does all the meat in Bikini Bottom come from? We see jellyfishing, clam fishing, chum, which is literally ground-up fish, and many jokes showing fish becoming food. So evolved fish eat primitive fish. That brings us to the biggest secret of all, the Krabby Patty secret formula. The show contradicts itself constantly about what the formula is. Sometimes it's a family recipe, sometimes something Krabs invented by accident, sometimes a sauce, sometimes a book. These contradictions might be intentional to hide the truth. Krabs has even planted fake formulas before to mislead plankton. There is reason to believe the creators are not allowed to openly say what the meat is made of, but they hint at it constantly. So what meat is Krabs using? He never picks up deliveries, never goes hunting, and never seems to run out. It's like he has one giant supply stored somewhere. If he killed a primitive whale during the war, that whale would have produced massive amounts of meat, enough to last for years. This suggests the meat in Krabby Patties comes from Pearl's mother. There's even an episode where Krabs dreams of catching a giant whale and calls it the Moby Dollar, a reference to Moby Dick, a story about hunting a whale. Symbolically, Krabs sees the whale not as a creature, but as money. That means Krabs is making Krabby Patties out of Pearl's mother. He feels guilt, which explains his depression after the war, but he also uses her remains for profit. And eventually that supply will run out. What happens then? Would Krabs use another whale? Would he ever use Pearl? You'd hope he would never go that far, but his obsession with money always comes first. And that is the evolution theory. Even if you don't believe every part of it, many pieces fit together disturbingly well. Krabs loves Pearl, but he has done terrible things, and eventually he will have to face what he's done and what he may do next. Squidward's old rival from high school band class. He's rich, popular, and successful, and he constantly rubs it in Squidward's face. But I believe he's a fraud who uses money to pretend he's more talented and important than he really is. He goes to extreme lengths to humiliate Squidward, and I'm going to explain why. SpongeBob might seem like a simple kids' show, but it actually has a surprising amount of continuity and callbacks. If you pay attention, the show quietly hides patterns and connections. When you follow these clues, a story about Squilliam's lies starts to appear. The first piece of evidence is from the episode where Squidward is playing his clarinet and two men knock on his door, claiming to be from a pet hospital because someone heard a dying animal. Immediately afterward, Squilliam calls him to gloat. I think Squilliam was spying on Squidward, heard him playing badly, and hired those two to embarrass him. There is no pet hospital in Bikini Bottom, and both of those fish work at the regular hospital. That means Squilliam likely paid them to fake the visit. Next, Squilliam claims he leads a famous band that is scheduled to play the Bubble Bowl. He says he's too busy to play and asks Squidward to cover for him. But we never see Squilliam's band, and he still shows up at the Bubble Bowl to watch. It seems his band didn't exist, and he made up the whole situation to set Squidward up for humiliation. Later, Squidward runs into Squilliam and a group of fancy-looking friends who laugh at Squidward for being a cashier. But these friends are just regular Bikini Bottom citizens dressed up, many of whom appear all the time at the Krusty Krab and would already know Squidward's job. It seems Squilliam hired them. At one point, Squilliam even admits his entire life is made up before claiming he was kidding. But it might have been a moment of honesty. In another episode, Squilliam claims the city built him a statue because he cleaned up the town. But the statue looks cheaply made, and one of his supposed friends admires it in a very forced way. Later, Squilliam tells an officer the statue is his, not the city's, which proves he paid for it himself to impress people and humiliate Squidward. There's also the concert in which Squilliam is supposedly performing. Squidward watches the end of it, but Squilliam never actually touches his clarinet. The audience praises him anyway. Many of those cheering are the same paid friends. It looks like Squilliam can't actually play and pays people to pretend he's a genius. His biggest scam happens when Squidward leaves the concert and is approached by the headmistress of a prestigious music college. She mistakes him for Squilliam and offers him a professor job. But she somehow already knows Squidward and Squilliam are enemies. She should have recognized Squidward if she knew who he was, yet she didn't. Her assistant is literally one of the paid audience members wearing glasses. The entire college looks like a dirty warehouse with a sign slapped on it. SpongeBob and Patrick easily get in even though it's supposed to be elite. Then suddenly, the police, the headmistress, the audience, and Squilliam all show up at the same time to expose Squidward. One of the officers even calls Squilliam a genius while arresting Squidward, making it clear Squilliam is paying him. Squilliam created a fake college, hired actors, and staged the entire event just to ruin Squidward on live TV. All these schemes raise the question, why would Squilliam go so far? Why dedicate so much time and money to ruining Squidward? The show gives almost no backstory, so it seems unsolvable, until one tiny detail reveals something bigger. In an unrelated episode, Squidward is wearing a purple robe. It's not his robe, it's Squilliam's robe. That means Squidward had it at some point. The only logical explanation is that Squidward and Squilliam used to be more than rivals. They must have once dated or had some kind of romantic relationship. Suddenly, everything makes sense. Squilliam's obsession, his bitterness, his need to show superiority, and his constant desire to humiliate Squidward all point to an emotional past. The show even hints at it with a scene where Squidward imagines someone in their underwear and says, "Oh no, he's hot." Squilliam also appears in a scene where he's last seen harassing teenagers at Makeout Reef, which heavily implies romantic behavior in that location. The evidence suggests that Squidward and Squilliam once had a relationship that ended badly. Squilliam's cruelty isn't just rivalry, it's personal. He's determined to make Squidward miserable and prove he is better in every possible way. And that is the hidden meaning behind their entire dynamic. After watching the episode Rock Bottom, many questions come up. How was Rock Bottom formed? Why does it exist? And how does SpongeBob connect to it? The episode presents a strange, dark city, unlike Bikini Bottom, and the events suggest there may be a hidden reason behind why SpongeBob ended up there. The story begins with SpongeBob and Patrick leaving Glove World and looking for bus fare while bothering the bus driver. Patrick notices a sign saying they are leaving Bikini Bottom, yet the bus never stopped to let them off first. Even after the two made it clear they needed to return home, the bus driver refused. Once they arrived in Rock Bottom, Patrick caught a bus and was allowed to go home, but SpongeBob was not. This suggests the driver may have intentionally stranded SpongeBob. Some characters in Bikini Bottom frequently get annoyed by SpongeBob: Squidward, Mrs. Puff, Pearl, even Plankton. It's possible that many residents wanted him gone and arranged for a specific bus driver to drop him into Rock Bottom. Once he was stuck there, every bus appeared only when SpongeBob wasn't ready, and each time he got close, it instantly pulled away. This behavior feels intentional, designed to trap him and wear down any hope of getting home. Rock Bottom itself appears completely different from Bikini Bottom: the buildings, the soil, and even the residents. The fish there glow, have strange shapes, and speak a distorted language. Their glow raises the question of whether the city is radioactive. To explore that, it helps to look at how Rock Bottom might have been created. Bikini Bottom is based on the real-life Bikini Atoll, the site of U.S. nuclear testing. Radiation can cause mutations, as seen in the survivors of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The show implies that Bikini Bottom fish evolved into talking, walking beings due to mild radiation. Rock Bottom, however, seems much closer to the blast site and may have received far more radiation, enough to create deeper mutations. Even the soil appears to react uniquely, as SpongeBob witnesses it physically interacting and speaking. A massive crater created by a nuclear explosion could explain the steep 90-degree road that divides Bikini Bottom from Rock Bottom. Most Rock Bottom fish look mutated and luminous, except for one. When SpongeBob tries to escape, he meets a red fish who resembles a normal Bikini Bottom resident, except for a glowing lure on his head. The fish speaks normal language and knows how to get SpongeBob home using balloon travel. This suggests he is originally from Bikini Bottom and is only pretending to be a Rock Bottom native by attaching a fake glowing lure to blend in. He may have been trapped there the same way SpongeBob was. However, in later appearances, this same fish speaks only the Rock Bottom language and cannot understand Bikini Bottom speech. This implies some form of brainwashing or mental alteration. The radioactive nature of the rock bottom inhabitants could explain this. Constant radiation exposure might affect thoughts, memory, or even identity. The city is depicted as depressing and lifeless, with empty graves and unsettling imagery. In another episode, rock bottom residents prefer night patties, holographic ghost-like burgers, instead of real food. This odd preference suggests they may not be fully alive. The fish SpongeBob meets in rock bottom eventually exhibits ghost-like behavior, including disappearing and reappearing, implying he may have died from radiation exposure and transformed into some kind of spirit. This could be why he never returned to Bikini Bottom even with access to the balloon method. He was no longer alive when SpongeBob met him again. If SpongeBob had gone to rock bottom without the balloon he later received, he would never have been able to escape and might have suffered the same fate: isolation, radiation exposure, and eventual death like the other residents. Rock Bottom appears to be a city shaped by radiation, inhabited by mutated or deceased fish, and capable of stripping away language, memory, and identity. This explains why SpongeBob was nearly trapped forever and why the place feels so eerie and dangerous, despite being part of the same ocean world as Bikini Bottom. SpongeBob has always had a unique style, switching from light-hearted comedy to strange, surreal moments without warning. And there's one episode that has confused fans for years: Spongehenge. It's known for being unsettling, strange, and usually skipped. But I think it's more than just a creepy episode. Under the weird visuals and disturbing tone, there's something thoughtful and intentional happening. After watching every season again to find patterns and context, I think I figured out the real meaning behind the episode. It changed how I see the episode, the show, and SpongeBob as a character. But before the meaning becomes clear, we need to understand what actually happens. It starts with something simple: wind. Bikini Bottom is hit with unusually strong gusts. Two fish leave a diner talking about how bad the weather is. One jokes that Neptune must be angry. The other says Poseidon is the real ruler of the sea. It's a throwaway joke, but it sets the stage. The wind gets worse. It blows away their food and sends it flying straight into SpongeBob's face while he sleeps. When he wakes up, he tries to find who it belongs to. Then a gust of wind hits him and blows through the holes in his body, creating a hollow, haunting sound. It doesn't match the usual cheerful SpongeBob music. It sounds like an ocarina or flute. Strange, echoing, eerie. And the jellyfish love it. They swarm SpongeBob, dancing around him and inside him like he's a living music speaker. Even after the sun rises, more jellyfish gather. They trap him with their excitement and won't let him go. Mr. Krabs eventually drags him to the Krusty Krab with a hook, but the jellyfish return immediately. The wind grows stronger and launches the Krusty Krab into the sky. SpongeBob ends up flying through the air and crashing into Patrick's house. Patrick lets him inside for a moment, gets stung, and then blames SpongeBob, kicking him out. SpongeBob runs into a cave, quiet, dark, and protected from the wind. Then things get darker. He starts talking to rocks, laughing to himself, and grows a long beard as if he's been there for months. He builds a stone statue of himself, not as decoration, but as someone to talk to and have tea with. When the wind hits the statue, it makes the same strange sound, and the jellyfish gather again. SpongeBob gets an idea. He builds dozens of giant stone versions of himself, arranged in a circle, each one shaped to create music when the wind blows through them. Instead of escaping the problem, he tries to control it. He wants to recreate the sound perfectly. It works. The jellyfish leave him alone because the statues make the music they want. For the first time in who knows how long, SpongeBob is free. He returns to Bikini Bottom expecting to go home, but everything is gone. The town is empty. Everyone has moved on without him. He gave everything, his time, his mind, even his identity. to create something he thought mattered, something perfect. But when he came back, there was nothing left waiting for him. The episode then jumps 3,000 years into the future. A group of aliens visit the stone circle and try to understand who built it and why. The episode ends with eerie laughter and wind. There are no answers, no jokes, no normal ending, just emptiness. It never resolves anything, which is rare for SpongeBob. It ends with confusion and questions. How long was SpongeBob in the cave? Why is the wind still blowing after thousands of years? What happened to everyone in Bikini Bottom? The episode gives nothing to hold on to, and that's why many viewers disliked it. It felt unsettling and not like a normal SpongeBob episode. The tone is off from the opening shot. No cheerful music, no goofy humor, just cold wind and strange sounds. That's intentional. On the surface, it looks like SpongeBob struggling with jellyfish, but underneath it becomes a metaphor for obsession, isolation, and losing yourself. SpongeBob doesn't fix the problem. He is consumed by it. He spends an unknown amount of time carving statues until they replace his purpose. When he finally returns home, his life is gone. The only things left are jellyfish dancing to music that no longer comes from him. He turned himself into a monument, creating art that outlived him but didn't save him. People have made many theories about what the episode means. One theory says the whole episode is a joke about ancient monuments like Stonehenge. SpongeBob builds giant stone figures of himself, and thousands of years later, aliens try to interpret them. It could just be a long joke about how humans treat mysterious monuments like sacred puzzles. But the ending doesn't have a punchline, only unsettling laughter. That's the first sign it's not just a joke. Another theory says the episode was a goodbye from the original team. Spongehenge aired at the end of Season 5, right before the show's tone changed because many original writers, including Steven Hillenburg, stepped away. Maybe this was their final strange, emotional piece before the show became more corporate. That would explain the quiet, slow pacing and the lack of resolution. It feels like the sound of creators letting go. But there's a deeper theory, almost spiritual. The early joke about Neptune and Poseidon could be the key. If the storm wasn't natural, if someone caused it, then the wind could be divine punishment or divine abandonment. An eternal storm that lasts 3,000 years feels like judgment from a god. But which god? The show mentions Neptune often and treats him as a powerful sea king, while Poseidon barely appears in the main series. Neptune has the power to reshape reality with a point of his finger, and is thousands of years old. If anyone could send a storm, it's him. But there's no hint that he's angry at Bikini Bottom, and if he wanted worship, he would simply appear. The idea of gods fighting each other and causing storms like in Greek mythology is interesting but maybe too far-fetched for SpongeBob's usual themes. That leads to another viewpoint. Maybe it's not about gods at all, but about SpongeBob's relationship with art and creativity. The way he talks to the statues, shares tea with them, and obsessively tunes them feels less like passion and more like compulsion. It's not the first time SpongeBob breaks down like this. In the older episode, The Sponge Who Could Fly, he dreams of joining the jellyfish in the sky. He's humiliated over and over until the town only likes him again when he gives up. There's a line that hits harder now. They hated me when I was trying, but they loved me when I failed. That's also what happens in Spongehenge. He tries to do something meaningful, something different, and he loses everything for it. After looking at all these theories, maybe none are fully right, but that might be the point. The episode leaves space for any interpretation: madness, religion, existential dread, or artistic struggle. But if you still watch modern SpongeBob today, it starts to make sense in a new way. These theories aren't competing, they're steps in a bigger message. a joke that never lands, a hidden goodbye from the creators, a world without gods, an artist consumed by his own work. All of it leads to one final idea. Spongehenge is a prophecy. It's the original team predicting what SpongeBob would become once they left. After the first movie, which Hellenberg intended to be the end of the series, the network kept making episodes. SpongeBob became a franchise, a brand, a product. Fans didn't want it to end, so the studio extended it long after its creator wanted to let it rest. SpongeBob kept going, but was it the same show? Or was it a hollow version, something that looked like SpongeBob but wasn't truly him? That mirrors Spongehenge exactly. The wind in the episode represents fame, loud, uncontrollable, impossible to stop once it starts. Fame changes SpongeBob, and his friends don't understand him anymore. So he hides and creates something lasting, carving statues that aren't tributes, but warnings. They look like him, but they aren't him. Just like later episodes of the show look like SpongeBob, but the soul feels different. In the end, SpongeBob stands in front of all the stone copies. He's out of time, replaced by replicas, performing for an audience that isn't listening. Maybe the episode is saying that in the distant future there will still be something called SpongeBob, but it won't feel like the real character anymore. It will be something that imitates him while missing the heart. Some kid in the future will watch it and wonder what it is and how it even came to be. But at least the stone statues will still be entertaining to aliens. Maybe Spongehenge wasn't nonsense after all. Maybe it was the original team's final message, hidden inside the wind, saying goodbye, warning fans about fame, and preserving what the show once was before it got lost in its own echo. And the saddest part is that we, the fans, are the ones who changed him, just like Patrick would have changed if he had never met SpongeBob. Patrick Star is hiding something serious, something that could ruin SpongeBob's life. In the episode Secret Box, SpongeBob asks Patrick if he wants to go jellyfishing and discovers Patrick owns a mysterious secret box. SpongeBob becomes desperate to know what's inside and eventually breaks into Patrick's house to steal it. At the end, Patrick claims the secret item is an embarrassing snapshot of SpongeBob at a Christmas party, but he never shows the picture itself. Fans have always wondered what the photo actually is, since the only information given is that it's embarrassing. Many people assumed it might be SpongeBob ripping his pants, but that seems unlikely, since SpongeBob openly bragged about ripping his pants in a previous episode, so it wouldn't be much of a secret. What could be more embarrassing than that? The most extreme possibility is that the photo shows SpongeBob without clothes. At first, that sounds ridiculous, but there's a moment in the episode that makes the idea seem intentional. Patrick tells SpongeBob that if he saw what was inside the box, it would change his life. That is a strong reaction for a simple, silly photo. If the picture really was too inappropriate for children, Nickelodeon would avoid ever showing it, which is exactly what they did. Patrick also has a history of being a bad friend. He snitched on SpongeBob over a chocolate bar that SpongeBob had given him, and in another episode, he mocked SpongeBob's kindness to impress his own parents. Patrick often takes advantage of SpongeBob and has selfish motives. Keeping an embarrassing photo of SpongeBob could be a way to blackmail him. Patrick has no job, yet he always has a house full of furniture, food, and a working TV. It's possible he has blackmailed others before, and SpongeBob might be his next target. Patrick even says the inner workings of his mind are an enigma, which suggests he's more calculating than he appears. Another episode that connects to this idea is The Donut of Shame, which resembles a spiritual sequel to the Secret Box story. Patrick wakes up from what looks like a hangover, finds SpongeBob unconscious on the couch, and the episode hints that something embarrassing happened the night before. It would make sense if that was when Patrick captured whatever photo he now keeps hidden. There's also the string inside the secret box, which Patrick uses to open a hidden compartment. That string might be a clue itself. In a later episode called The String, SpongeBob pulls a loose thread from Squidward's shirt, leading to everyone losing their clothes. If pulling a string can unravel clothing, then maybe the string inside Patrick's box came from SpongeBob's pants. If Patrick pulled that thread during the Christmas party, he could have caught SpongeBob unclothed in the process, giving him the perfect embarrassing picture to hold on to. This explains why Patrick guards the box so aggressively, why he teases SpongeBob throughout the entire episode, and why he insists that seeing the photo would change SpongeBob's life. The embarrassing snapshot of SpongeBob at the Christmas party may have been far more revealing than SpongeBob ever realized, giving Patrick a powerful secret to hold over him.